What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And today was another massive day from continued earnings. We had Google, who had a massive day. Yes, most of the market pretty much took a major hit. Nvidia also had a major day today, and Amazon had a good run towards the end of the day, and Microsoft had a phenomenal run. But the rest of the market just sold. Where does that leave us for tomorrow? For tomorrow, we do have the regular initial jobs claims, continued jobless claims, pending home index. We still have all those numbers. I don't think that's really going to do much. Again, unless it's something really dramatic, I don't think it's really going to have any effect on this market. This market is in earnings mode right now. So, being said, I don't think it's going to really do much, right? We did get a lot of selling towards the end of the day here on the SPX. Again, it was pretty much everything other than FANG. There's a lot of concern about Apple, Amazon, the e-commerce space, and what is going to happen. But luckily for us, tomorrow we have those earnings. We got Shop first thing in the morning before the bell, and then we have Apple and Amazon at the end of the day. So it could really make or break us from this point. What we are seeing is everything is doing extremely well, right? Google did extremely well, had a massive day, just completely ripped all day. Microsoft, same boat, killed earnings, completely ripped all day. And then you have Apple that's just been kind of sitting there, just waiting for earnings. You had Amazon and Shop have just been sitting there waiting for earnings. Apple got some news later in the day, though, which causes it to shoot up. One thing that did happen today, though, Bitcoin is continuing to sell. But if you look on the daily, we're actually just retesting old support here on the daily. So as long as we maintain above essentially that 58 mark is where we want to stay above. If we can stay above that, we're perfectly fine. Just a higher low. We have to remember we went almost straight up coming up in here before we hit all-time highs. Yes, I'm looking for a next leg going into the end of the year. And then from that point, I think we will start to have a more of a correction again, like early in the year, something I've been talking about. But being said, what are we looking at tomorrow? Yes, there's a lot going on. Yes, continuation is what I am looking at. We have Shop. That's the first thing on my list tomorrow. I want to see how Shop does. If Shop destroys earnings and starts ripping, that gives us 2 days. 2 days of Shop in capturing that run up. Okay, so that's one major one I want to keep on watch tomorrow. Let me bring up Shop here real quick. It's hit essentially rock bottom. It's been bouncing off that 200 on the daily, so it has got a lot of room to run. And believe me, once if it gets good news, it will start running from that point. So I want to see how Shop does in the morning. That's going to be one of my number ones. Obviously, Tesla, it's been really wanting to go. It's starting to push up after hours, actually, here. It's been playing this really tight range. I think what it is waiting for Apple, waiting for e-commerce to come out and give their numbers. Again, everything's looking good so far. The only bad thing we kind of had was Snap. So if they do well, all the ones that have been holding are going to just completely rip. I think we're going to have a massive week next week if that is the case. But again, we have to get that far. So if Apple does well, if Amazon does well, well as in the fact that it doesn't start crashing and taking down the market, because that's essentially the only thing that's been holding up. Is a lot of them have been flat. While you have things like Tesla and Microsoft that are running, is really helped stabilizing the markets. We've seen this before, this separation between value, the value stocks, and a lot of the growth stocks previously, and we're seeing that again. I think you're going to get that. The money's going to flood out of FANG eventually, and then you'll start getting some of these mid caps, smaller caps that will essentially cycle in and start running. I think something we've seen last quarter. I think we're going to get a repeat of that coming up pretty soon. Again, so I want to see where Tesla goes. It's already starting to rip. It has been having tons of great news on top of everything. I really think this thing could probably see probably even 1150, 1200 is a very strong possibility. I did this on the last one, just like I talked about yesterday. The consolidation on Tesla has almost all year just consolidated. So this is not crazy in my opinion. It's consolidated for a very long time, and I think it could really run. So the other ones I do have, you have your Apples tomorrow. I don't really want to play. The run up isn't anything for Apple. It's just been choppy. What I am looking at is Friday. Keep in mind Friday, Apple, if it does destroy it tomorrow after the bell, definitely Friday is something to watch. I think Apple can really rip and make up some room. If that is the case, it's got a lot of room to run if it does well. Facebook, it's just been beaten down. I think this is eventually going to turn and start running back the other way. It's just trying to capture it once it starts breaking some resistance levels. I think once the whole market as a whole starts running, Facebook will start making up ground. Microsoft, monster day. Look for continuation on this tomorrow. I think is going to be important, and seeing where it goes. Again, I think it is at all-time. I think it was at all-time highs today. Yeah, it's been running at all-time highs. So we're in price discovery mode. So just keep that in mind. But continuation, second day is always bigger typically. So just remember that. Normally, it's not saying it will be, but normally it is. So I expect Microsoft could have a huge move tomorrow. Same with Google. Google had a monster move today. Being said, it had some major price upgrades. That 3,100, I think, is a possibility. Kind of seeing this move that it had today, always again crushing earnings. Maybe hopefully get a little bit of a pullback down here to the 2880. If that's the case, we're definitely going to need some momentum to come back up and break through this, essentially that 2973 mark to get up and try to test that 3000 and then break that. But so we want to see, those are the two other big ones I really want to watch on continuation. Again, Amazon had some news today, ripped up. Essentially pulled it out of the gutter. Again, I think it's going to possibly just play range again tomorrow until it gets news. But if it does, again, you look at the daily, it has tons of room to make up. And Amazon can really make up some room fast, especially after the last earnings. They said they were losing customers. I think that was just because everybody was taking trips and everything, and people weren't at home. Again, pandemic, people want to get out and whatnot. I think that is why. So being said, if they do well and their forward guidance is good, I think this can really make a massive move up. So one to definitely keep on watch. There's a lot of good ones to keep on watch. Again, continuation. If Shop does crush it tomorrow, any e-commerce I think will start ripping. SE has really been held down. I think this is another one to keep on watch. If Shop does well in the morning, watch e-commerce. Watch and see how they start moving. They might start ripping up nicely because Etsy's been really pulling its weight and doing well. As far as Nvidia, I think Nvidia is kind of topping out. The chips can do so much. AMD crushed earnings. Did have a nice pop, but it's kind of dying out. I don't really expect the chips to be running just as crazy as you're something like your. Is essentially coming into the three big players, right? You got Google, Tesla, and Amazon are essentially running everything else, and everything's just kind of tailing along. Yes, you got Apple and everything else. They're still pulling their weight, but you got the big innovators in those three because essentially they've developed their own ecosystem, and that is what's helped them separate them, and that's why Google didn't get hit from Apple's changes in devices because it wasn't so reliant as Snap was. So. Being said, also BYND is something I want to keep in watch today. It did pop a little bit today. It's still floating under the 100 mark. I know there's some issues with it. It does have earnings coming up on the 10th. This might turn around. We'll have to see. Again, supply issues are really hitting that. So that might have to wait till that for it to start turning up. Again, coin, I'm watching coin closely. I really want to see. I think Bitcoin's at the point where it's either make or break. It needs to start breaking up. Once that does happen, I think this could really start running again, depending on essentially use the Bitcoin future to determine what the gauge on that. If it starts pushing up, then you can expect coin to follow suit. So that is pretty much what I got. It's a busy day tomorrow. I don't think I think a lot of mid cap, small cap stuff is going to continue to get beat down until Fang has her time, and everybody is soaking money into these because you get runs like Google, it runs just about 100 points. Or your Teslas, it runs like 50, 60 points. People would rather be in that than capture a 2-point move on some of these other ones. And also why I like playing the beta stocks because of that fact, because they have bigger moves, and I look for that. But that's essentially what I got for you. So if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. Till next time, I'll see you guys on the field.